Hello, good morning and welcome. This is Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Udwaka Mimo. Well, the big news this week is the latest in a string of attempts to pull Kenya out of the Rome Statute, which established the International Criminal Court. We know why. 3 Kenyans are standing trial, accused of masterminding the violence after the 2007 general election. They are the president of the country, Uhuru Kenyatta, his deputy, William Ruto, and erstwhile radio presenter, Joshua Arap Sang. Mr. Ruto appears before the court next week. In the meantime, their supporters are rallying to their side, led by our guest this morning, the Honorable Aden Duale, Majority Leader in the National Assembly, who represents Garissa. He led the call for Parliament to be recalled from its recess for a special sitting so that MPs can pass a motion withdrawing Kenya from the ICC. Now, this is an emotive subject, and so we're likely to hear strong views from the panel of Mutegi Njau of Royal Media Services and political commentator David Makali. Good morning and welcome to the program. So you're clearly a man on a mission. Part of that mission has been, implementing the Jubilee agenda in the National Assembly. But begin by clarifying for us what it is you're setting out to achieve with this motion to withdraw Kenya from the ICC, and how?
I think I want to make 2 principal statements. One, I have acted within the standing orders and the Constitution that I've written to the Speaker based on Standing Order 29.1, that when the House, under the new dispensation, when the House is on recess, the House's calendar is gazetted. So the House was supposed to come back on the 17th of September. But either the leader of the majority or the leader of the minority within that standing order can write to the Speaker and initiate a motion of national importance. And if the Speaker feels that that motion meets the threshold of that standing order, then the Speaker will approve and gazette a special sitting of the House, which he did, and the agenda of that day will be my motion. And the House will go back to the previous calendar. Secondly, what I'm trying to do has nothing to do with the case before the ICC. That case has progressed. That case has been there the last 3 years. But mine is a legislation that, in my opinion, and the Jubilee Coalition that I represent, I sold to, in my opinion, will set the stage for Kenya. It is a futuristic direction that I want to take. So I've just set the ball rolling. I'll have a motion on Thursday for the House to consider. And my motion, I'm sure by today, it must be on the order paper in the Parliament website, has 2 elements. One is to ask Parliament to introduce a bill within 30 days to repeal the International Crimes Act number 16 of 2008. The second is, as per the Article 127 of the Rome Statute, I'm urging government to initiate the process of withdrawal from the Rome Statute pertaining to that article. So it's in two parts.
The question is, why the urgency?
Why the urgency? Yes. That is a question I've been answering since yesterday. In fact, to put it better, it's not the urgency. There's no urgency. Why now? I think why now? Because 2 reasons. One, for the first time in the history of the world, a sitting head of state and a deputy president elected in a free, fair elections upheld by the Supreme Court of that country are going to appear before a foreign court. The first time it's happening in the world. So I felt this is the best time for me to introduce this bill.
But you said it has nothing to do with it. If you said it has nothing to do with it, then why now? Ruto is going to go on Tuesday to The Hague. Whether you pass or you don't pass. So why now?
In fact, I want to make a fundamental statement.
Right.
That the Jubilee Coalition that I represent and myself, our motion has fundamentally no effect on the case before the ICC. But my case, my motion, and the bill I'm going to introduce will have a fundamental effect on the relation between Kenya and the ICC in the future. Why now? Two things I told you. One, it's because it's the first time it's happening. Secondly, in politics, you become strategic. Maybe this is a time that this motion, and even tell the country what is going on. So, and it's the first time under new dispensation that a bill can generate from Parliament. Last time when Isaac Ruto introduced his bill and it was passed, the Grand Coalition government was divided on the ICC. The Minister of Justice by then, Honorable Mutula Kilonzo, was a proponent of ICC. But under the new dispensation, under the new parliamentary system...
He was a proponent of the ICC, but both he and Martha Karua did actually try to pass laws establishing a local tribunal, which yourselves, you and your colleagues, didn't quite see the need to push through, which is why the ICC corporation came about.
You know, I don't want my motion and my intention to be intertwined with other past issues.
Right.
Like the
local
tribunal.
Right.
The local tribunal has issues to do with this case before The Hague. But I want to follow what great leaders like Bill Clinton and George Bush Jr. did for their people. That we should disengage our country from the ICC because of ABCD. I mean, I'm just following what other people did in other countries.
Okay, so outline ABCD for us then.
Unfortunately, your argument is not convincing to me for two reasons. Your attempt to disengage your motion from the ICC cases doesn't quite sell to me, because as you've just said, your explanation of why now does not seem to actually disengage from the case. And then secondly, it is not that there has been no president who has been charged before the ICC. I mean, of course, Omar Bashir of Sudan is before the ICC and is a sitting president, and those charges came when he was sitting. The only difference is that he has not honored the summons to appear before the ICC. So there's nothing really historical about the fact that our president is being charged by the ICC. In any case, these charges came before he became president.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. For the current case before the ICC, even our two leaders, when they were campaigning, they knew they will, if they win the elections, they will still abide by the summons to appear before the court. The scenario of al-Bashir is totally different from our scenario.
In what sense?
How?
In one sense, from day one, in all the process of the legal process of the ICC, our leaders have been attending the court. Al-Bashir has never attended. His case is like in a quagmire. I mean, we can't use it as an example. But even more fundamentally, David, whether you put the question why now, a member of parliament, not even a leader of majority, can draft a motion, can recall the House.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, that's not the issue.
No, can't recall the House.
The problem is that
No,
it
no,
is a special
because-
session. Duale,
If I mean this, can recall the House, because you are more, you really want to know why now.
Yes.
But I can tell you that, one, the infrastructure is available now, the last 5 months. All bills generate from the House, okay? Unlike in the last parliament. And secondly, there is the urgency now that when a president and a deputy president of a democratically, an emerging democracy, who won elections in a free and fair elections, are being paraded in a foreign court, the urgency is that for a country to reevaluate itself, its relationship with that court. It's more urgent now than ever before.
Suppose we waited up to the one parliament to resume. Suppose we wait until the 17th. What impact will there be? Because it looks like you are timing that Ruto is going next week.
Yes.
You want to have done it before.
Why not? Why before 17th? Is because a motion, the sovereignty, discussion of the sovereignty of any country is done by the members of parliament. And it's the best time before he goes. Because by the time he goes and before he goes, the time difference is It's not there.
So you're not very clear, actually.
Very clear.
No. You resume on the 17th. Why could your motion not wait for the resumption of Parliament? Why do you need a special sitting tomorrow to push through this motion?
The special sitting beacons on an urgency of a matter. This is a matter that touches on the fabric, the sovereignty of our nation.
The sovereignty will be there even on the 17th. Even if you wait up to 17th, sovereignty will not be compromised.
You know, let me give an example. If today Royal Media Service has a program to initiate a process, they can start today and tomorrow. You won't ask Royal Media why today. I mean,
Honorable Duale, the problem is that there is a bit of inconsistency in your explanation.
Right.
First, you said that the motion has really nothing, and in fact, no impact on the cases coming up
Which is the
at The
case
Hague.
anyway.
Absolutely.
But again, your actions seem to be timed to impact on those cases, which you have already said is futile. So are you just creating drama for the country, trying to create some, movie around here?
Now, David, tell me what is the impact of my motion and the bill I'm going to introduce on the cases. You tell me.
It's you who is moving it now with the urgency and arresting the country into a motion and activity here.
I explained very well.
Whose purposes and whose intentions us Kenyans do not know. Because let me refer you back to the campaign period when the president clearly said this is a personal matter.
Right.
We recall that during the live presidential debate.
Yes.
He said this is a personal matter and he's going to handle it. And indeed he has proceeded, and even Mr. Ruto has proceeded to handle it as a personal responsibility.
Personal
and
capacity.
they're attending the proceedings. So why the drama? Why your motion?
David, you can call it a drama. You can call it a serious debate of the House. You can call it a matter of national importance. It depends on where you sit when you look at this thing. But I said it that the matter before the ICC of our two leaders is a matter that the two leaders and the country decided to face it through the legal process, even before the elections. The matter before Parliament on Thursday is a political process, is a parliamentary process, is a legislative process that not only the leader of majority, even me as a member of Parliament, can initiate. It is for the House to agree with me or consider on the urgency from where I sit.
So you've explained all of that. I think what we're getting at is your intention, because of course you've been quoted as saying that you'll allow the president and the deputy president to go through the legal process.
Absolutely.
Right, and then you will address the ICC politically, and so we're questioning your motive. Why is it necessary to withdraw Kenya from the ICC? And this, from your explanation, sounds to be a demonstration of loyalty to the people that you are politically beholden to. If we did not have the president and the deputy going to the ICC, would Kenya be considering withdrawing from the Rome Statute?
I think even if the two leaders are not going to the ICC, well, in fact, if we are not at the ICC, I can tell you for sure, like any other international statute, like even any other provision within our constitution, Parliament has a mandate to amend or to repeal an act.
No, that certainly is true. But would we be considering this?
Number two, let me give you a scenario. I studied the Rome Statute. It's 122 member states. I look at the members that signed the statute and never ratified. I look at the countries that joined and pulled back. And I look at the scenario because I remember, if you read the comments of President Clinton and the advice he gave to Bush Jr. to withdraw from the ICC, of the many reasons, one of them was that this court is not free from political manipulation.
Right. And Kenya didn't consider that.
And those are the reasons why. Those are the reasons why. When you look at why India, the reasons India gave not to join the ICC, the reasons Israel gave, when you look at those reasons, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. It is for any leader who has a position within law to amend the act in the interest of his people. What I'm doing is for my children,
You know,
and for your
in the
children.
interest,
One day Uduak or Makali, you might be at the ICC.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do is to save a nation and make sure Kenya joins the 80% of the world population who are not members of the Rome
But then how do you answer the criticism that you would not be moving with such alacrity if this was a case concerning ordinary Kenyans, that because it considers the president and the deputy, you find it necessary to mobilize yourselves to pull out of the ICC? Yet we have other issues of more pressing concern to Kenyans, the VAT bill, the IDP draft policy that has not been passed. We haven't seen special sittings called to address this.
I think those who are looking at that were looking at the move that I have taken of recalling the House from the position of William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta's case in the ICC. In my opinion, they're not being very just to the cause.
Which cause is that?
To the cause of looking at the whole ICC, looking at the ICC court, maybe the case of Uhuru Kenyatta, Ambassador Mudaura, Ali, Sang, and
so to be clear,
maybe has given us the wake-up call, in my opinion.
Right.
Maybe before that we were not used to
Honorable
the fact.
Duale, what you're telling us is that on balance, this ICC withdrawal case is more important than, say, the concerns of ordinary Kenyans about the escalating cost of living, to the effect that you feel the need to call a special sitting of Parliament.
Absolutely. If you put it on a weighing scale,
Right.
when you have two leaders elected, not through a coup, elected in a free, fair general elections, upheld by the Supreme Court, being tried in a foreign court, that is a more serious national issue than the VAT law that the House passed 2 weeks ago.
But
That is
your move will not stop it. You know, what your arguments are becoming ridiculous.
Absolutely. That's why
Your arguments are becoming ridiculous, to say the least.
you know, Mutegi,
Because
fine.
if the two are being tried and your move is to protect migrant children, are migrant children now threatened? There is no other Kenyan who is likely to go to the Hague any soon, so that you have this urgency. You are becoming ridiculous in your argument.
No, Mutegi, you know, the word ridiculous is very subjective.
Yeah.
What I'm telling you is that William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta gave us a wake-up call. They do it through the legal process. But you have to save a 40 million nation. Tomorrow, I might be the leader in this country.
But the problem is this, you're forgetting that nobody imposed the Rome Statute on Kenya. Kenya signed the Rome Statute, became a signatory on its own volition based on its considered interests,
Absolutely.
including the impunity that this country has experienced. So why are you turning it around as if somebody dragged Kenya into the Rome Statute?
David, you're very right.
Secondly,
the Rome Statute was signed on the 17th of July 1998 under the leadership of President Moi. It was signed by Aaron Ringera on behalf of the government of Kenya. And David, listen to me. A whole constitution that we lived in as a country, we decided to change that constitution and get a new constitution in August 2010. Am I right?
right.
What is wrong if a statute, today you saw there's a clamor to even change the governance structure.
Yes.
From a presidential system to a parliamentary system. Am I right?
Yes, yes,
There's no crime they're committing.
yes.
And there's no crime in Honorable Duale and the Jubilee Coalition in amending and withdrawing the Republic of Kenya from ICC, even if we signed it a month ago.
There has to be.
And that is a
there
function.
has to be justification.
Yes, I've given, and that is the
reasons
function.
why.
And that is the function of Parliament under Article 95 and 96.
Okay. Well, you've given us your reasons why, and my question to you is why you seem to be subordinating the interests of Kenyans who are complaining about various other issues, including the cost of living, to the welfare of two powerful, privileged people at the ICC. You say that the ICC issue is of greater national importance than, you know,
Even
whether
IDPs.
Kenyans are able to feed themselves, whether they can take their children to school, whether they can afford the basic necessities of life. How do you justify that?
Let me pick on the VAT bill. The VAT bill was the last bill that this parliament did before it went to recess. And the VAT bill went through all the stakeholder process. The VAT bill came to parliament on the third reading. The 349 members did serious amendment to the VAT bill. And even let me pick at the current issue of the VAT bill, the milk. And when we are looking at the VAT bill, the element of the milk, what is being taxed is a processed milk on the shelves in Nakumatt. 20%, members of parliament felt 20% of Kenyans use that milk. The middle class. 80% of Kenyans use the raw milk.
You know,
and this is a current scenario. But again, the 349 members who have the legislative mandate, look at that bill. They removed unga, they removed part of the milk, they removed sugar.
They kept sanitary pads, though.
They kept sanitary pads. They removed, for VAT, they removed medicine. We look at even the leasing of aircraft. And again, the same parliament, through its committee, will call back and even review that VAT bill. But if you ask me, when a president and a deputy president of an emerging democracy elected in a free, fair elections, transparent elections.
Well, we can't buy that line. That line is tired.
Okay.
I mean, the point is that, you know, Honorable Ruto and Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta
it depends on who
faced
buys.
these charges before they became president.
Okay.
We cannot begin asserting the fact that they are president. And secondly, they have agreed that they are attending the ICC case. And in the...
No, we are not talking about William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta in their individual capacity. We are talking about the office of the presidency and the office of the deputy presidency.
Okay, we'll have to
William
pause.
Ruto as an individual, they can go to the ICC. But
That's what they're
But
doing.
when you subject the presidency and the deputy presidency as institutions enshrined in the constitution, then
But you see, they're not
that is a
institutions
matter
being
of
charged
national
at the Hague.
importance.
That is, again, misrepresentation. It's not
Right.
the institutions being charged. It's
Right.
the individuals.
Okay.
Why are you trying to create,
We will pause
an
to
imaginary
regroup. We will
case that
pause
doesn't
to
exist
regroup
here?
because clearly we're skirting around the same issue. You're watching Cheche live on Citizen TV. We're exploring moves to pull Kenya out of the International Criminal Court with the leader of the majority in the National Assembly, the Honorable Aden Duale. If you've got any questions or opinions for him, the SMS number is 22422 and the Twitter handle is Cheche_TV.